Good morning. The anticipation. I can't even freaking focus. All right. We were just saying how much we think this Soto news is gone off the wall. Everybody is in high anticipation, excitement, nervousness. But let's start it off with the news that we do know is in effect. And that was that we did make that trade for Verdugo. So let's talk about what that means for the Yankees this offseason and how it affects the Soto trade. It was as soon as the news came over, we're like, okay, we knew that that Verdugo was on Cashman's list of players that he likes and wanted to acquire. The first thought that I had was that, okay, this is insurance for Dominguez, and it may mean that they just do not want to give Florial the opportunity to be that backup guy. It's a 1 year. He's a free agent after the season. No harm, no foul. Pitchers that we would have lost in the Rule 5 draft. Might as well get something out of them, right? I think that's fair to say. That's how it. That was what of a lot of our mind process. But San Diego wanted an outfielder. This means if they're able to flip him to San Diego and not have to move somebody like Jones or Pereira or insert name, that just makes it even a smarter of a move. But I want to get your guys' breakdown. Rob, I want to hear from you first. When you heard the Verdugo trade, what went through your head?
I loved it. We talked about this a few weeks ago. I was okay if they made the flip for Torres. Like, I mean, I wouldn't have loved to see Torres in a Red Sox uniform, but I like Verdugo, and I never understood why people just hate the guy. Like, I've seen so much negativity about this trade for no reason. He's a solid player, and when you consider who we had in our outfield last year, Alex Verdugo was better than every single one of them, with the exception of Aaron Judge. So it's almost absurd the way that people are treating him like he's some serial killer or something. Like, how dare you acquire this player all because he wore a Red Sox uniform? If this guy played for Colorado, I think people would be ecstatic. Like, oh, we need this energy. He's a high energy guy. We need that on the team. And we need it on the team. We got him for a couple of pitchers that we're never going to see. Greg Weissert was not good, right? Richard Fitz is just a name. A lot of people didn't know who he was until last night. And I don't even know the other guy we gave up. So this is a fine trade, and I don't think they should flip him unless it allows us to cost less in the prospects term. But at that point, San Diego's, they're trying to get rid of Grisham, so it would cost them more money unless we gave them money, which is going to cost us more to pay for Grisham than it would to pay for Verdugo. That wouldn't make much sense. Grisham's not a good, well, he's a good outfielder, not a good bat, but I like the trade. It's 1 year. It allows you to make sure, and I've been saying this since the jump, do not rush Dominguez back. If he has to sit the season, fine. Let him sit. Let him be 100% healthy for next year because he's your future. And if you're able to keep Spencer Jones away from this Soto trade, there's your insurance in case you can't re-sign Soto. The Yankees are playing this actually, dare I say, perfectly. And Cashman's doing a really good job, which I'm going to applaud him for. Now, if this trade gets done today, first, I'm going to scream like a little child. Two, I want to see what the return is and what they're giving up. But I think this is a fine trade. I know Verdugo defensively is much better in the corners than he is in center field, but I just watched the season where Isaiah Kiner-Falefa played center field. I can live with Verdugo for one season. So let's roll. If you get Soto now, you got a bunch of lefties in your lineup. The Yankees need a high contact guy. Verdugo does not strike out. JP Yankee Girl on Twitter or X, she put out a really good breakdown of where he ranked in terms of statistics for the Yankee, where he would have ranked last year. He was second on the team in a lot of those categories, right behind Gleyber Torres. So this is a fine move. And if they keep him, great. If they flip him in the San Diego trade and it costs us less prospects, that's fine too. But I really like this move, and I'm thrilled to see the Yankees making some smart decisions here.
Donald, how are you feeling about it?
I'm ecstatic. Let's go. I love the trade. I actually love the trade. I've always liked Verdugo. I might be the only Yankee fan other than Rob, that actually likes him. I genuinely think he's a pretty good player. I love
Whoa. Okay, so that's what
The
you get for
excitement.
complimenting the Red Sox.
The excitement took him right out of the stream. We got a solid outfielder. We might get Juan Soto within the next hour or two, and it took Donald out. It's too much to handle.
But no, I don't think anybody. A lot of the fans, they could not stand Verdugo. They didn't like, I know he was tripping with the fans, but it's such a smart move. Now the problem, the other thing that really came into my head, I'm like, are talks falling apart with Soto? So he had to pivot as fast as possible. I doubt that's the case, but that had to go through some people's heads. It went through mine for about 5 seconds. I'm like, this could be really bad if Soto falls apart. And this is all left fielder. But NFE, who's now all right. You want to finish what? All right, finish what you were saying before, Donald.
Yeah,
Thanks.
sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. What I was going to say is I actually like the trade, and I think I like his energy, and I like what he can offer. I like what he can offer. I think he'll offer something good in the clubhouse. I think that kind of energy is kind of like Nick Swisher-ish. I think he's got that kind of Nick Swisher energy that could translate. I think he's a perfect fit for New York because he's got that energy about him, and he's used to Beantown, so I think he'll be perfectly comfortable in New York. And it's a smart time because in his last year, he's going to be a nice holdover until Dominguez is ready. I think that he will be the center fielder until Jason Dominguez is available. However, he is a better right fielder than he is a center fielder. He is a negative center fielder. So I do understand that aspect is a curious move because he is a negative in center field. However, he's a solid right fielder, and you can move Aaron Judge to center field, and Aaron Judge is as good in center field as he is in right field. The only question is, do you want Aaron Judge with his frame and his legs to be out covering center field ground that much? Listen, you can't be afraid to use Aaron Judge wherever is the best fit. I think he'll be good in center field. I think that you'll see a situation where Judge and Verdugo will share time between right field and center field on occasion, and we'll have Soto hopefully in left field. Listen, I like the deal because Verdugo's actually got a decent bat, much better bat than Grisham, much better, not even questionable, much better bat.
Yep.
As Rob points out, he would be like second on the team behind Gleyber Torres. Discounting Aaron Judge, and basically across the board on offensive metrics. He's a fine player. And you get that for 1 year, we gave up nothing. Greg Weiser, goodbye. Justice, goodbye. Don't care. We gave up nothing to get a decent player. So I think it's a good move. I really do. And yeah, it means that we don't see IKF in center field. Great. And you know what I love? The thing that I love the most, and not just that deal, because I've actually always liked Verdugo, and whenever I watched the Red Sox, I was like, I think we could do with someone with his kind of mentality and energy in the team. I always thought that. The one thing I loved was Brian Cashman saying, the season that we had, there are not many untouchables on this roster. When he said that, I'm like, oh shit, he's pissed. I love it. That's what I wanted to hear from my general manager. Brian Cashman, maybe Cashman's been humbled because, that's night and day from what he was saying in that press conference where the whole Yankee world went into meltdown. Had Cashman just said that at the press conference, you wouldn't have heard any complaints from me or Yankee fans. If he was just like, yeah, that was a disaster. And there's not going to be anyone that I'm going to hold as particularly untouchable apart from Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole. You know what I mean? If he said that, great, fantastic. So I love that he came across that way yesterday, and I love how aggressive he's being. He's aggressive for Soto. I like it. There's these knowing smiles going on between Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman and you people in Yankee land regarding Yamamoto. So watch this space. I think they know something more than they're letting on regarding Yamamoto. And he's being very aggressive with Soto, and he got a good player in Verlander for absolutely nothing. I mean, basically, he gave up Greg Weissert for Verdugo. You tell me one person in baseball who would look at that and say that's a bad deal. The only way they would look at that in a bad deal is if, and from the Red Sox perspective, right? Because they got rid of a solid hitter, Greg Weissert, who isn't that good. So I think that's a good deal. Good deal for the Yankees. Good deal for Brian Cashman. It's Cashman's favorite type of deal, where he gets in somebody who's actually a good player on diminished value for absolutely nothing. That's the kind of moves that Cashman's always been pretty good at. So I think that's a good move. Let's go. Let's keep Soto watch on. But I'm excited by it. I think it's a good start, and I hope we don't flip him. I don't want to flip him.
Right.
I don't flip him.
It wouldn't make sense to, because San Diego, again, like I said earlier, they want to move money. So Verdugo's going to cost them double of Grisham. Verdugo's projected to make, I think, 9.5, and Grisham's about 5. So, like I said, if the Yankees kick in money to the Padres in this trade, yeah, you might get to hold on to a Chase Hampton or something like that. But at the same time, you're going to be paying about essentially $10 million for Trent Grisham. I'd rather just pay $10 million for Verdugo because we need the offense. You can have an all Gold Glove outfield out there. If you can't score runs, which the Yankees couldn't score runs last year, you're not going to win many baseball games. So the Yankees need it. Verdugo can hit at the top of the order. He gets on base. He makes contact. Everyone says the Yankees need more contact-oriented guys. Oh, enough with the strikeout or nothing. We actually just got one, and everybody hates it. And they're trying to find reasons to be like, it's not as good. No one is saying this is the needle mover. Right? No one's saying Verdugo, the World Series is back on. No, but are the Yankees better today than they were 24 hours ago? Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can't tell me they're not, because last year we trotted out Jake Bowers and Billy McKinney and Franchi fucking Cordero in our outfield. So I don't want to hear anything about Verdugo. Oh, he's not as good as people think. I don't care. He's better than those idiots. I'm sorry. I apologize to Bowers and McKinney. They did it. They gave their all. Cordero should not have been there as long as he was. But we trotted out infielders and DHs in the outfield all season long. And now we get a guy that's going to make our team better. And people are just hating on him because he was a Red Sox. They did the same thing when we got Damon. They did the same thing when we got Youkilis. And you ended up liking Youkilis before he got hurt in 2013 because he was one of our best hitters before that injury. And you even liked Ellsbury for a little bit before those injuries piled up. So I don't care that he played for Boston. I really don't. The Yankees need energy. They were dead. They were zombies in that dugout last year. The team stunk. They looked like it. They knew they stunk. And they had that energy of just, they know it, and there's nothing they can do about it. They looked defeated every single game. They would show close-ups of every single player on that field just looking defeated because they were getting their asses kicked night in, night out, and they couldn't score. Now you get a high-energy guy. He seems to be friendly with Aaron Judge. That's your clubhouse leader. Look how much good that did when Nick Swisher came in, because Swisher was a lunatic, and yet the second he joined that locker room, it was like a different team. You had Derek Jeter acting a fool out there sometimes in 2009. You had A-Rod acting a fool. These were veterans. Everyone was having fun. The energy's a big thing. So I don't know why people hate. I don't know why people hate Verdugo so much. What did he do wrong besides beat us up a few times with his bat that people are like, this is such a bad move? And Chris, I don't like, why was the clubhouse problem? What did he do? What was his issue in the clubhouse?
Well, actually, I do have that information for you. So, what happened was an incident in June, right, where he was benched mid-game for not hustling. Okay, this past June. Then he was held out of the lineup the next day, because apparently Verdugo was late, for like a team meeting or turning up. So he was late and he was dogging it on the field. All right. And then in July, Verdugo hit 151. And it looked like he basically checked out. And so the Red Sox were aggressively shopping him. Then in August, he was benched again. This time, Verdugo arrived late to Fenway Park for an afternoon game, and that was the final straw. So Cora blew his lid and made him available via trade. Another thing that he did, as well as being late, was he falsely denied that he was late, right? And then he complained about being picked on before the final game of the season. The Red Sox kind of made it clear, especially Cora. Cora takes zero shit, unlike Aaron Boone. He said that what kind of message does that send to guys like Duran Duran and other young players? Because he's acting like he's kind of above it all. So that's why there's this discussion that he's bad for the clubhouse, and that's why the Red Sox were very, very happy to deal him for nothing, right? So while I do get all of that, and I do understand that aspect, and I certainly don't like what I read right there, but I don't think that's him. I think he checked out, which is not okay, but at the end of the day, the Red Sox weren't relevant. I think if you give him a new place, a new team, and he's in his last year of his contract, so he's playing for a contract, he's going to be extra motivated. And I don't think he's Josh Donaldson, because he's not been an asshole everywhere he's been, unlike Josh Donaldson, who's been an asshole / racist wherever he's been. And in terms of Verdugo, that's the only incidents that I've come across in his career. Before that, he's basically been a positive influence on the Red Sox, and he was a very, very good player, and it helped make it easier for the Red Sox to stomach losing Mookie Betts and getting him back in return. I thought, you know what, that was actually quite not a bad deal for them prior to last season where Verdugo did not have a great year. Verdugo didn't have a great year, but still would be number 2 on the Yankee team, right? Yep. And that's him dogging it, not turning up late, batting 151 in over a month or two period, and he still would have been the second best bat on this Yankee roster. So I don't see a problem here. I don't think he's a problematic player. I'm not excusing what he did, but I think he needed to change his scenery. I think he saw the writing on the wall. I think he knew he wasn't coming back, and I think he knew that he wasn't going to be a big part of the long-term plan, so he probably saw the writing on the wall for a team that's in last place. I think if you move him into a team where he's beside dudes like Aaron frickin' Judge and Garrett Cole, do you think they're going to allow him to dog it? Never happen. He'll allow it to happen, but Cole and Judge won't. Right. And so there aren't those kind of leaders in the Red Sox. The Red Sox don't have any of those type of leaders on their entire roster. The only leader they have is Alex Cora, the manager. So I think it's a different situation. We can't compare the two situations. I think he'll be fine. Rob?
Even with Donaldson, everyone thought he was so he obviously brought up issues in his first year, but wasn't he just at Nestor's wedding? If he was such a bad clubhouse guy and everyone hated him, he wouldn't have been invited to a teammate's wedding. So I don't think people hated Josh Donaldson as much as fans might think. There may have been some issues there, but he seemed to get along with everybody. So I'm not saying that what Verdugo did was okay last year, but a change of scenery could absolutely work. And maybe knowing he's on a contract year, he's got a new opportunity here. He's going to play with the Yankees. He's got a chance to stick it to his old team. If the 18 times, whatever it is, he plays them, and he's going to have a chance to go out there or maybe he's in San Diego. We don't know yet. But and Chris, you're bringing up something from 2015 that he had nothing to do with. If you actually read the article, I read that article because that River Avenue guy just put it up there trying to make him a villain from what happened in 2015. He wasn't accused of anything. They were trying to figure out if he was around during that, and he wasn't. He wasn't charged with anything. This is not a Domingo Germán or a Aroldis Chapman situation here. So I'm not trying to excuse him for potentially being a part of that, but there was no crime committed on his part. He didn't do anything. So I don't know why people are trying to vilify a player because he was it was because he was a Red Sox. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear that. Like, he didn't do anything there. And I know it's a touchy subject. It's a rough subject to even bring up when it comes to sports, but he was tied to it. He addressed it back in 2020. This is almost 4 years ago. And he wasn't charged with anything. He wasn't even accused of anything, really. And he's been very apologetic of it, even though he didn't do anything. So, I mean, let's just give the guy a break here. He didn't do what Aroldis Chapman did. He didn't do what Domingo Germán did. Let's see what he can bring to the table. If he flat out stinks, all right, I'll eat crow. I'll be like, well, I guess it was a bad trade. Even then, I still don't think we gave up too much for him, for a guy that we needed. So let's just wait and see how it plays out. But the guy's been vilified by a good chunk of this fan base 6 or 7 hours into his tenure with the team. That's not fair. He hasn't. I mean, that's really not fair to the guy. He hasn't even played yet with this team. It's December. We're not even close to spring training yet, and people are already making it like we just acquired Jack the Ripper. Come on. Let's give the dude a shot here, and let's see what he can do.
Look, the Yankees actually did something smart for a change, and we still want to kill it. Like I said, these were guys who we most likely would have lost in a Rule 5 draft. And they actually, instead of just letting them go, they actually traded them for somebody of value. Someone that may not be a fan favorite, but I'll tell you, the first good game he has is going to change a lot of minds. The same thing with when a lot of players come over that we're skeptical about.
We all sat here trying to move. It's a buy low move, and you can get high upside for a buy low move.
Yeah, I don't think it was the fact that he couldn't. He misread the room. He's not listening to the fan base. Well, you can't listen to the fan base for every single move. You have to be able to make your own decisions, and us as fans have to live with it because we don't make the decisions. We just watch.
So yeah, I think that Cashman's being calculated here. I do. I think it's a calculated move, and I think it's a buy low move, and I think there's high upside there. You're getting a high upside, potentially high upside bat for Greg Weiser. Where's the downside?
I don't know. I really don't. And look, if it was a trade with any other team, I don't think it's being criticized as much. We're always very critical when it comes to trading with rivals. It'd be the same thing if we would have traded for Kyle Tucker from Houston. There would have been a part of the fan base that would have hated it and some that would have liked it. So, and I bring him up because that was a name that LI brought up on the After Dark show. So it's I think this was more calculated than careless. We had to make a move, and if he's flipped, no complaints.
Well, actually, I've got news on that.
If they keep him,
Cats, I've got news on that. 30 seconds ago, Talking Yanks broke on the via X that the Yankees are not expected to flip Verdugo as part of a Soto deal.
Okay, but that's what I was going to say. If they keep him, I'm fine with that. I think for a player like it's a 1 year rental. Let's not think that we have him for 10 freaking years. It's a 1 year. After the season, he's a free agent. No harm, no foul. He might be an outfielder that we keep for the year just to give more time for Jones to get ready. And if they give Jones that extra season to further hone his craft as a defender and an offensive asset, this could be one of the more smarter moves that Cashman has made over the last few years. Right. This can be that move that makes us go, he's not a bottom 5 GM anymore.
Right, but think about this. We talk about players checking out. Remember Aaron Hicks? That dude checked out, right? And they cut him. He went to Baltimore and he had new life, and he was a much better player, injuries aside. So it can happen. Aaron Hicks everyone wanted the dude gone, and the second he left, he was a changed player. Right? So sometimes it just works that way. Again, I'm not going to excuse Verdugo for checking out on his team. You never want to see a guy do that, but
yeah,
a change of scenery can do a player very, very well. It's happened several times in every single major sport out there. A guy just needs to get out of the place that he was, and he can clear his head and go. And again, it's a walk year. He's going to go into free agency at 28, 29 years old. He could be looking at a pretty hefty contract if he has a good year. And guess what? If he plays well enough and the Yankees feel Spencer Jones is ready, they could flip him at the deadline potentially, if that's a move they want to make. We've seen teams do that before. Yep. If the Yankees are having a rough year, which I hope they won't, but if they're having a rough year, they don't make the same mistake they did last year and not trade Bader. They can use him as a trade chip. So I just want to be on that wait and see, because he is better than anybody that we were trotting out there last year, with the exception of Aaron Judge. And we needed a lefty bat. He's a lefty bat. Doesn't strike out. Great. We needed that. He can hit at the top of the order. If he's even if he's just like a slightly below average center fielder, that's better than what we were talking about or what we had last year. This is an upgrade. Is it a significant upgrade? No. But does it take us out of making the significant upgrade in Juan Soto, which is what we're going to segue to next? Also, no. And that's a tweet that was put out 5 minutes after the trade was made. This does not take the Yankees out of Soto. So if Cashman said, we need two outfielders, preferably left-handed bats. We knew Bellinger and Soto wasn't likely. Everyone was talking about Kiermaier and Soto. Verdugo and Kiermaier are very similar in terms of offense, I guess you can say.
I think Verdugo's
Kiermaier, maybe a little bit better, but obviously Kiermaier's the better glove. But look, we got our lefty bat.
But the way I look at it also is that look at the names that we've been looking at to play a holdover center field until Dominguez is ready. One of which is Kiermaier, right? He was a plus glove, but a negative bat, right? And he's not a better player than Verdugo, in my opinion, at all. And then who are the other names going around? I mean, we were going to take on Grisham from the Padres, who has a 190 batting average and a plus glove, right? We needed a lefty power bat with high contact. Verdugo's better than both those names, right? And the other names that we were being mentioned are all kind of fourth outfielder types that aren't going to move the needle. Verdugo moves the needle for me. Verdugo actually has the upside that those names don't have, right? I like the move. Now, he's not a great defender. I get it. But I like the move. I think it's a solid start. It's a solid start, and I can't ask much more from Brian Cashman than at least he's got a plan. It looks like he's got a plan. The plan is, let's get a buy low, high upside outfielder that can hold the place for Dominguez. And it takes the pressure off Dominguez as well, which is great because now Dominguez can take his time with rehab. That's really important because let's think about the fact that we really didn't give Volpe much of an opportunity to succeed because he was basically anointed as the next Derek Jeter, and he was basically rushed into playing shortstop, right? And he was having to learn on the job, and he did a good job.
And the whole team around him sucked.
Yeah, but he did a good job. But again, we didn't really put him in a great position to succeed. We're actually putting Dominguez in a position to succeed because we take the pressure off him. If we bring in Soto, and then we bring in Verdugo, and we got Aaron Judge there, then there's not that much pressure on him to rehab quickly. There's not that much rehab for him to rush. There's not any reason for him to rush his development. When he's ready, he will be the center fielder. I like that plan. I think it's a good plan. It makes a lot of sense. There's every chance that Dominguez is going to be our starting center fielder by August. If not, then Verdugo has been a success, and then Dominguez is our starting center fielder next year. I think that's a very good deal. I think it's a good strategy. It makes all the sense in the world. I'm glad that Brian Cashman is making sense. That's all I've ever asked him to do. Make sense. Have a strategy. Follow up on that strategy.
I have some
No,
news here.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Samsara Trucking. It's their first time in the chat. Let's give everybody a welcome to Samsara Trucking. Thank you for your take. He's on the side of Verdugo being flipped. We've been saying.
Let Rob speak. Let Rob speak. Rob's got breaking news.
Well, not breaking news, but Aaron Boone, and I think Li just brought it up in the chat. He did say that he's comfortable with Aaron Judge being the regular center fielder. So there's that.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be all season, but he is comfortable with it. He announced that DJ's the starting third baseman. So what does that mean for second base? Is Gleyber Torres getting moved? Is Peraza in the picture? Is Peraza involved in this Padre trade? I don't think he would be, but because they're trying to move Cronenworth, they might need us. But they got Kim. I don't know what the hell's going on here. But also, he said he expects a lighter Giancarlo Stanton. I guess he's trying to drop some of that weight. He's a muscular dude, obviously. Maybe that means he's a little more limber and able to move a little bit better because, as we saw last year, the dude can barely run. So I guess Boone is having a conversation with somebody right now, even though it's 10:30 in the morning. And you see yesterday when they were talking about he FaceTimed Cora, and Cora was like, he had that smile, something's happening over there. Everyone's like, oh, it means Soto. It was probably the Verdugo trade, I think, because they knew that was happening.
I think it's Yamamoto.
I would dude, if that happens, they're talking about that happening after Ohtani. And when's Ohtani signing? Because I thought it was supposed to happen at the goddamn winter meetings. I don't know, but DJ is the third baseman for now. That could very well change, but Boone just said it apparently.
Okay.
So I'm sorry to break Li's heart because he's been so dead set on that Peraza at third base thing.
I do have some breaking news for anyone in the chat who doesn't actually know. WFAN said for the Yes Network to be prepared to do a hot stove show at 2 p.m. today under the expectation that a major move is going to be made. We expect that it's going to be Soto and that you might have Juan Soto under your Christmas tree by this afternoon.
I want him announced in the next 30 minutes. I want that. But if Cashman wants to give this channel anything for Christmas.
They are going through medicals right now. Jack Gary says they're going through medicals right now of potential moves, and that's where we're at. It's looking very, very, very good. It's very, very likely. Let's keep that positive motivation that we can get this deal done. It looks like the deal is going to get done. As for the reason why I think Yamamoto is the move, which is why they're so smiley, is every time Aaron Boone is asked about Yamamoto, he's got this shit-eating grin on his face.
Cashman too.
And Cashman too.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the Yankees have fed back to sources. I've seen a tweet. I'll get that tweet up in a minute. That they feel that they're way ahead on Yamamoto, way ahead of the pack with Yamamoto. I'll get that tweet up in a second.
Yeah, it's Jonathan. I know they were doing that 2 p.m. thing yesterday. That was they were just addressing the media, updating on the winter meeting progress or lack thereof at that moment. There's something coming today. If nothing happens today, then it's going to be a disaster. We might have to redo a show at 2 p.m. if nothing happens. But
it just sucks that Tierney's the one that said it because I can't stand those morons at WFAN. Tierney and Licata, they are the worst. Can't stand those.
I liked Tierney when he was with Tiki.
Yeah, he's unbearable now with that idiot.
It's
Sal. What's his name? Sal.
Sal Licata. Well, Sal can spoil anything. I'm not a big fan of Sal.
Clowns.
Yeah.
A couple of other C words that I can't say on here.
No, I like Brandon Tierney. I just can't deal with Sal. Tierney knows his stuff. Sal's just a dude that just screams just for the sake of screaming.
Yeah, he's like LaGreca. He's just screaming now to get views. That's all they do. That's all people. That's why people watch the podcast now. They watch our shows. They watch Pete. They watch Hector. They watch Talking Yanks because they don't want to see people just trying to generate the views because they know Licata is going to scream. 3 weeks ago, he was all the Yankees are going to get Yamamoto and Soto. And then it was, I think they're going to the Mets. And then they're going to go to the Yankees and he's upset. Which one is it? Pick a side, Licata. No one likes you anyway. You treated a Giants legend like crap. You deserve to be treated like crap. I'm sorry. I don't like them. I really don't. Both of them.
Do we? I want to give. I don't want to go into a deep dive with it, but I do want to bring it up because it was said when Cashman made the statement, "No team can compete with Steve Cohen." Was that tongue in cheek, or do you think that because they were making the Met fans are making it sound like the Yankees have conceded New York to Queens?
They've been saying that for a decade. How long have we been hearing that the Mets are taking over? The Mets are taking over. The Mets are taking over New York. What are you taking over? We're both a couple of franchises that haven't won anything in a long time. And even us being a team that hasn't won anything, we still won more recently than you. And the last time, if you want to go all the way back to the year 2000, we beat you also in the World Series. So what are you taking over? It's like, I don't get it. What are the Mets taking over? A bad baseball city right now? Both teams stink.
They've taken over the payroll flag. Congratulations.
Good for you.
That's it. Yep.
But I do have that update. Bob Clapper says that the Yankees are ahead of the pack for you Yamamoto, for Bob Clappish of NJ.com. He says the Yankees are ahead of the pack. Another thing is, in an interview yesterday, Aaron Boone was asked, do you think Yamamoto would look great in pinstripes? And he has a big grin in his face, and he goes, yeah, I think he probably would. Yeah, and he plans on meeting him next week. It looks good. It looks really good, right? Because how often do the Yankees talk about people that aren't belonging to them? Never, right? Especially if they don't feel that they're going to acquire them, right? Did Brian Cashman ever talk about any of the dudes that he wasn't going to acquire? We're talking about Harper in the past, Machado and stuff like that. We didn't really hear him ever really talk about them. But they're more open about Yamamoto, right? Even though he's not belonging to the Yankees. Why? Because I think there is a belief within the building that they can get it done and that they're ahead of the pack. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to get him. I'm just saying at the moment, as of right now, as of Wednesday morning, the Yankees are number one in getting Yamamoto. That's fantastic. It's a good day to be a Yankee fan. If we can get Soto, holy moly.
It's look, there's no way that we get to the end of the day without something happening. Whether it's Yamamoto or Soto. But I want to swing back into the Soto news because that seems to be the more likely. Because of everything else that's been going on through all the reporters, Jack Curry, Clavish, Andy Martino, who, as much as I know he's an SNY guy, but Andy Martino's been on his game this offseason. So I'm paying attention to what he's saying. I want to lead into Soto more by asking this simple question to you guys. Is King in the trade, yes or no?
Yeah. Jack Curry has mentioned Michael King like 7 times in the last 12 hours. Yes. I think he has to be in the trade. He's mentioned King and Thorpe. So I think because like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, Martino said that the talks were kind of on pause because they didn't want to get rid of those guys. But now I think the Yankees realize they have to do it if they want to get Soto. And if that means they don't have to take Grisham, because I don't want Grisham. I really don't. And if that means, okay, look, we're going to just get Soto, we'd be willing to give up King and Thorpe, but maybe that means they don't have to give up another 5 starting pitchers or pitchers along with it. It might be King, Thorpe, maybe Vasquez, and another guy. Some people have brought up that a catcher could be involved. I would get rid of Higashioka or Trevino as soon as possible, even one of the prospects as well, because the Padres also need catching help. If it's a 4 or 5 player for one deal, that's a lot better than 7 pitchers for Soto and Grisham. I mean, just the whole idea of giving up your entire pitching depth for Soto was obviously the Yankees were smart to say no to that. But I think King and Thorpe, they kind of have to be in this deal, because if it's like Schmidt and Hampton, you might have to give up another 4 or 5 guys. The fact that the Padres really want King, this is a good time to move King because it was 9 starts. And I know he looked really good, but people are like, he had Maddox-like stuff. It was 9 starts. Let's calm down. He was very bad before as a starter. He was a good reliever, but he had some ups and downs. He looked good as a starter, but only went into the 7th inning, I think, once. He isn't really stretched out. This is kind of the perfect time to trade him. They hyped him up a lot, and it's kind of making San Diego think this is the guy. And he's only got 2 years left before he hits free agency. You don't know what's going to happen. This is the perfect time to sell high on him, because if you do get a Yamamoto, there's your number 2 starter. Rodon becomes your number 3. We're probably going to keep Schmidt now, so he's your number 4 or number 5, and you still have some guys to keep in your arsenal in case you need to replace someone in injury, and you can always move a guy like Torres for another pitcher. So now you get to keep some of that depth. You get to sell high on a pitcher who had 9 decent starts, and you're able to get Juan Soto. And I think you have to bite the bullet. I know they don't want to give up King because he's going to cost you like $3 million, which is cheap for a pitcher. And Thorpe is a really good prospect, but the Yankees have a lot of good prospects like Hampton, Henry LaLane, who's not getting talked about a lot. They have a lot of pitching prospects. So go do it. You got to pay to get this. And we all knew this trade was going to hurt. But if you're telling me you can make this trade and keep Spencer Jones and Jason Dominguez, dude, sign me up. I'm not giving up 7, but sign me up for that trade, because you're keeping. I thought it was going to guarantee to be Spencer Jones involved, but he might not be in this trade.
Yes.
Dude, sign me up.
That's exactly what we were talking about. Like what we were talking about on Monday's show, Tats, was like if you were to canvass us about the Soto trade last year, it would have cost us everything. It would have cost us the Empire State Building, the Statue of Liberty, Yankee Stadium, plus Dominguez and Spencer Jones, right? And Peraza. There's a very good chance we don't have to give up any of that. Spencer Jones, Dominguez, Peraza, none of that. Sign me up.
You know what?
Another aspect to this.
Yep.
If we bring in Yamamoto, right? It's still a big if, but we're favorites for him, right? I think that's why the Yankees are moving on that and are moving forward in this, because I think they realize this now. They get Yamamoto. That's 3/5 of the rotation made, right? Then there's Nestor Cortez, who's expected back. That's 4/5 of the rotation, right? So at the end of the day, why are we so desperate to keep a hold of Mike King and Clark Schmidt when at the end of the day you only need to fill out a 5th starter, right? You can trade Torres and bring in a 5th starter. It doesn't make any sense to staunchly hold on to Mike King if you're going to bring in a guy like Yamamoto, where Mike King's opportunities are going to be limited to be a top-end starter anyway. So you make that move. You speculate to accumulate. Give to get. All those sayings are very much relevant when you make a trade for a star. So I think it's a no-brainer. If you bring in Yamamoto, you don't need a Mike King or a Clark Schmidt. They are expendable, right? We have enough pitching depth where we can bring in a 5th starter. So it's a no-brainer. Now that's in the event that we bring in Yamamoto. But even if we don't, Gleyber Torres is still a trade chip where we can bring in a starter. Preferably, I would love to keep a hold of Mike King. I don't care about Thorpe. Thorpe can go. Hampton can go. Really, genuinely don't care about those guys. But Clark Schmidt, he's expendable. He's a 4th, 5th starter, right? Tops out as a 3rd starter, in my opinion. He's eminently available. And Mike King, let's face it, he's a bullpen guy who's being developed into a starter, right? I love Mike King. He's fantastic. But at the end of the day, like, you can find guys like that. The Yankees have done a very good job finding arms. The one thing the Yankees don't struggle to do is find arms. So I think it's a no-brainer. Let's get it done, and we'll worry about the back end of the rotation later. Let's get this team fixed. Let's get these big lefty bats in there to partner Aaron Judge, and then go all in on Yamamoto. If you bring in Soto and Yamamoto, holy moly, this team is fantastic.
No, it's definitely a move. It puts us in contention immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, in sports, there's no guarantee in anything. But before I make my comment on King and Schmidt, we have another new face in the chat. We're getting a lot of new faces lately. We love it. Hope everybody's enjoying the Pinstripe Chronicles in the morning. But Thanos 2727, welcome to the chat. Great to see you on here. He thinks that Yamamoto should be a priority over Soto. It's only money. Well, with Soto, it's only prospects. You're talking about, there's a couple of guys that are maybes with Thorpe and Hampton, right? But guys like King and Schmidt, these are guys that have an upside, have a downside. They're kind of in the middle, but they still have value to bring you a Soto. See you later. Right? I remember, I don't know if anybody remembers, a lot of fans were annoyed when we moved on from Brian Mitchell because he was on the verge of being stretched out into being a starter, getting him out of the relieving role, and they moved him. Did anybody miss him?
No.
I think it's going to be the same thing with King and Schmidt, especially if we're able to land Yamamoto. They'll be appreciated for their time here, but the moves had to be made. We need to improve this roster. No, I'm saying King or Schmidt.
Okay.
We don't know the exact. Yeah. No, not King and Schmidt. King or Schmidt. We know it's more. We know. I'm saying 95% chance that King is the name, but Schmidt has been linked to it. So until the deal is done, we don't know who it is. So
I don't want to just act like
Schmidt's.
You can almost guarantee that King and Thorpe are in this trade because Morosi just brought them up as well, kind of like echoing what Curry's been saying. And there's been some stuff Li just put it in the chat that Martino's saying, like, as of last hour, ownership has not approved the money that's going to be changing hands. So I don't know if the Yankees are kicking in money here. Maybe it could bring down a little. Yeah, there it is. So we don't know yet, and also the players have not been informed, but the fact that we're getting to this stage tells me something's going to happen within the next few hours.
Yeah,
so
yes, 100%.
It might be the end of the day. It might be tomorrow, if at the latest, but something is going to happen here. And it's just a matter of who we're giving up. How much money are we kicking in? And if that's the case, are we not going to have to give up 5 players? Are we going to give up 2 pitchers and maybe a catcher and another prospect? Or is it a 5-for-1? Is Hampton involved with Thorpe? Because that's your 2 top pitching prospects. And then you lose King. But again, that's fine because to me, I'd rather keep Brito and Vasquez over the prospects because we don't know what they're going to be. And we know the Yankees don't develop prospects very well. I think they're going to be good pitchers, but we've seen in the past when the Yankees give up one of their highly touted guys, they haven't really missed them. Like, I still don't miss Wesneski. I don't miss Waldichuk. I would have liked them, but I'm not really missing them right now because the Yankees are seemingly throwing out these guys and they're developing them into pretty darn good pitchers. Their issue is they just don't use them right when they get them here. Hopefully that changes this year, but the Yankees minor league system does not get a lot of credit because they're throwing out these pitchers like it's a machine out there, like just one after the next. Like over the last year, Thorpe's name has gone from, I know who he is, to top pitching prospect, and Hampton and who, like Lillane and all these guys that no one really knew about. All of a sudden people are like, yeah, but you traded Richard Fitz. But up until a couple of days ago, you probably didn't know who he was, and you really only miss him because his nickname is Dick. You would have said Dick Fitz. That's an all-name team right there. So the Yankees
like
are doing
from the 40s or 50s.
Yeah, he probably has a mustache. He's probably walks around with a top hat and says "she" for everything. But look, the Yankees minor league system is good, and this is the time to move these guys for a guy like Soto, because not every day that a generational talent becomes available, and you're getting to keep your offensive prospects, which the Yankees need that more than they need the pitching. So I'm signing up for it, and I don't want to have to give. I like Thorpe, I like Hampton. I'm a prospect guy, but you have to give to get, like Donald just said. Do it. And if it's King, Thorpe, and Hampton, and let's say Higgy, I don't think we're gonna miss any of those guys. I really don't. And I hope that Thorpe and Hampton become really good pitchers, and I wouldn't mind seeing them be successful. But if it means we get a year of Juan Soto with the chance to lock him up for the next 10 after this year, and we get a championship out of it, or get closer to a championship because of it, you make that trade every day of the week.
Yeah. There's something that's going through my head. And I
What do we
need you
think
guys
about
to
Angelo
help
here?
me.
I love Yankee fans are going crazy. LOL, the deal is done. Why will they tell you? It's all a soap opera to Wilder fans and media.
Because this is the off season. It's the hot stove. We make hot takes. We have hot-headed reactions. This is, and you're starting to see it's building. It's heating up. The all the leaks that are coming out, all the updates. This is usually what you see. And I don't know, Angelo, if you're on Twitter or X, whatever the fuck they call it now. When we were on the verge of getting Gerrit Cole, this was the same exact script of what we saw on social media. The little bit of leaks, and then it was the late night leak, information coming out into the morning. So this is just the trend for things coming into fruition, for things to be done.
Yeah, so John Morosi does say that Mike King and Drew Thorpe are key names in the proposal that would send Soto to the Bronx. So I wonder if that means that Clark Schmidt would be not part of the trade. If those two guys are in, maybe Schmidt is out.
That's what Rob's thinking.
And then we maybe get Schmidt at the bottom end of the rotation, and that's another win. So, the more that we go across whatever variations, I like it. It's a win for the Yankees, man. It's a win for the Yankees. If they hold off Mike King and have Drew Thorpe and Drew Thorpe and Schmidt and then a bunch of others, fine. But if they manage to keep Schmidt out of it and then King and Thorpe, fine as well. Like, there's no downside here. And Verdugo is much better than the option of taking on Grisham. It's a win. Yeah. Things are looking good. So I feel positive about this. I think it's the right way to go, and we're in good shape. And I've always believed, get this guy in the building. I'm not a proponent of waiting till free agency. I'm not. You don't know what's going to happen in the space of a year. If you allow Soto to go elsewhere to another team, say the Giants or the Blue Jays or whatever, maybe he falls in love with the area, maybe falls in love with the city, and then he maybe takes himself out of the Yankee running. This is it. Get Soto in the building in New York. Show him what it's about. And then try and win this year. If he can win a championship this year with this Yankee team, we're signing Soto long term. That's just going to happen.
They have to.
But even still, hey, we've got a championship, right? Do you think the Toronto Raptors regret acquiring Kawhi Leonard for that 1 year? They won a championship for that 1 year. They'll sacrifice all the years of being okay to have that chance of winning a championship, right? So whatever happens with Soto comes in here and wins a championship with New York, then we will gladly pay a couple of pitching prospects for that opportunity.
And there is something here from Mike Medvin, who works on the Yes Network. He basically just shot down what Tierney was trying to get people crazy for, because they had talked about this last night. There's going to be a 2 p.m. show. So I guess Tierney's just trying to break news that's not really there. So once again, Brandon Tierney looks like a fool.
Somebody got caught.
Yep, Brandon Tierney's looking like a fool once again. So suck it, you WFAN clown. I kind of wish he was right, but it is Tierney, so I'm glad to see him take an L.
Well, what do you think, guys? Should we do a show tonight if the trade breaks? Because Jonathan messaged in the chat that we could.
How could we not?
Exactly.
How could we not? It might not. It'll take a little time to throw it together real quick, Jonathan. But I think the three of us could safely promise that we'll do our best to do something as the news breaks.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I don't see why we couldn't. It's Juan Soto we're talking about acquiring here. Okay, but we have a few minutes left though. Let's think. What would your trade package be here? Are you giving up 4 or 5 players, and what's your trade package for just Juan Soto? It's not Grisham. We're not getting him. No Cronenworth. How many players and what are those players you're giving up for Juan Soto? That's I'll throw the floor to you first.
I'll say King, Hampton. I'll even give them a reliever in Marinaccio if they're gonna want pitching. Maybe Loizaga. I'll give them Loizaga over Marinaccio. Because Loizaga could be stretched out as a long man, I believe. And I give them Higgy. Those are my 4 guys.
Okay. Donald?
Drew Thorpe, Mike King, Hamilton, Hampton. Those are my 4 guys.
Did you say Hamilton?
Yeah, Ian Hamilton.
Well, I like that better. I changed my mind.
Stick to your guns, folks.
No. No, I know. No, I said what I said. But Hamilton is valuable.
I think that should do it. And if we want to throw in a catcher like Rorvet, I don't care, or Higgy, I don't care. But I think
I'm trying to throw in.
Those are the 4 main names I would put in, and it holds out Clark Schmidt, who I like. Clark Schmidt. I don't think he has the upside of King and Thorpe, hence why the Padres will want to go for those 2 guys. We have Clark Schmidt. That means we can put him in the bottom end of our rotation, and we're okay shape. I like that deal for the Yankees. I like that deal for the Padres. They get their pitching prospects. They get their high-end pitching prospects. It's not too much of an overpay, considering it's a 1-year rental, but it's still considerable. So I think it's a win-win for both sides, but more of a win for the Yankees, obviously, because they get the star. And if they need a catcher, great. We'll give them Rorvet or Higashioka, because if we go Wells, which I expect Wells to be our platoon catcher next year, then there's a need to. I prefer to keep Higashioka because he's got that knowledge of the system. So we'll see what happens with that, but I think those are the names to keep an eye out on.
Now, if money is involved, I think originally I was thinking 5 players. I had Brito and Vasquez in there, but I think we're going to hold on to them. King, Thorpe, I'll give them Hampton if we don't have to kick in money, and you get the pitcher they wanted. Thorpe's very close, Hampton close as well, and I would give them Higgy, and I like Higgy's bat at times, but I'd much rather keep Trevino behind Wells because he's a better defender.
Yep.
And I think that should be enough. You're getting some highly touted prospect pitchers. You're getting an MLB ready starter. If they want one more MLB ready guy, I would give them Vasquez. I'd be hesitant to give them Vasquez because I like him. He looked pretty good last year, but if that's what it takes to get it done, then do it. Now, if there's money involved, I'm taking Hampton off the trade, because if they have to kick in money, then you're not getting 2 of our top pitching prospects. And I think the Padres know that, but the Yankees have been willing to include him as well as Thorpe and King. So it's like they've had a change of heart over the last 48 hours, which is telling me this thing is going to get done. And we're still keeping the one guy that I thought for sure was going to go in this trade with Spencer Jones. So to me, win-win, man. Like we've been saying, this is looking like a good thing here. Let's just hope that it happens. I don't want to give up a bullpen arm, though, because even though we have a bullpen strength, we still don't really have a closer, and we don't know what's Canely going to be this year, right? I mean, maybe you sell high on Hamilton because he was a one-year guy, and we find bullpen arms like they're freaking pennies on the ground. But I'd rather keep our bullpen strength.
Yeah, well, the reason I'm saying a bullpen, and I want to end it with this topic here, and because it came up there in the chat early on. I think it was Jonathan that broke the news that Baltimore is nearing a deal with Craig Kimbrell. So that means that they'll have their closer. What are their plans with Batista? Their stud, closer from last year. Are they holding on to him?
Isn't he hurt? He's hurt, right?
Is he? I'm not. I don't know the Orioles' injury history. I'm
pretty sure he's hurt. I think he's hurt. That's why they're going to get Kimbrell, because normally they'd have Cano and Bautista, but I think he's hurt. I could be wrong, though. I'm pretty sure I saw that he's
Okay,
hurt.
yeah, and if he just confirmed, yeah, okay. Because I was like, does that mean that either Batista or Cano are on the block? You know, although as much as I hesitate to make trades within the division, obviously we're not opposed to it if it's the right move.
Yeah, we do have news that Corbin Burns is expected to be traded this offseason from Milwaukee, but I think we'll maybe go into more depth about that once the Yankee hot stove calms down a little bit, because there's a lot of interesting moves going around baseball at the moment, but right now it's all Yankee watch. And I think there's going to be a trade done by this evening, and I think we should do a show for you guys, even a quick one.
NFE helping us out here. He's expected to have Tommy John surgery, so they had to get a closer. Okay, so that clears that up. But I do want to bring up this final comment before we bow out, because we are talking about the closer role. Mr. Barrows asks if we put Holmes in the trade since he's been inconsistent. Rob, what do you think?
Absolutely not. He's the closest thing to a closer that we have, and we don't have a closer. So I mean, he's got 2 years left. He's actually been a lot better than people want to give him credit for. He is inconsistent, but then again, I don't trust Canely to close. We're giving up Michael King. He'd be my next in line to be a closer. Loaiza's either hurt or struggling. I don't trust him. We don't know what Marinaccio is. Is Luis Heel going to be a bullpen guy? I think there's too many question marks to give up Holmes right now. I'm pretty sure if we were to have a depth chart come out today, he'd be penciled in as a closer. I'd steer clear of giving him up, unless we bring back Wandy. But then again, even he would be your only lefty. I don't know if they want to use him as a closer. Yeah.
Personally, I can't stand Holmes. So if we traded him, I'd do a dance. I'd honestly dance. I'd dance. That's how much I can't stand Holmes. I would do a little dance. So I would love him to be part of the deal.
I think Holmes is looked at in a much different light.
No. The Yankees love him. The Yankees love him. I'm just talking about my opinion.
We, as fans, if they never used him as a closer and they kept him as a 7th, 8th inning guy, like that bridge guy, I think he's looked at by us a lot differently.
Yeah. No, I think
he's not a closer.
He's not a closer. I agree with that.
I wanted Loaiza going to be the closer, but he wasn't healthy enough.
I would, if it was a choice between keeping Mike King and keeping Holmes, I keep Mike King over Holmes every day.
I mean, actually, go back to the tape. I was the one that said that I wanted Peralta as the closer. I thought he'd be great for that, because he does keep hitters off balance.
But
he's not sharp all the time.
So I think it's irrelevant right now. But it's a good question. Yeah. And it was something I was thinking about, Mr. Barrows. I was thinking about the same thing. I was like, what would Holmes be like in this deal? It would make a lot of sense. But no, he's not part of it. And the Yankees love him, and he is technically our only closer. So it's not really a discussion. But I don't trust him. I never have and never will.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe we're realigning the whole bullpen after today. We'll see what moves are made by Friday. 2 days, a lot can happen at this time of the year. We'll have to wait and see. But if you haven't already, hit that like button, tap that heart in the bottom of your screen. We greatly appreciate it. The numbers of the support has just been got me speechless. You guys are killing it with us. Couldn't do it without you. Hit that notification bell, because you never know when that trade's going to happen and when we're going to be on air. So you do not want to miss whenever we jump in. So hit that notification bell as well. Subscribe. And as always, let those pinstripes try and play hard.